Pioneer viewers, I hope you're healthy and happy. As the Pioneer team, we are here to bring you new developments in the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. In recent days, Russian experts have made some remarkable claims about the Crimean Peninsula. So the Crimean Peninsula is strategically located in an extremely important position and therefore constitutes a critical place for the Russian occupation administration. However, Russians are not the only ones who care about the Crimean Peninsula. Of course, Ukraine also takes a very sensitive stance on this issue and defends that Crimea belongs to the Ukrainian territory. So this situation further increases the tension in the region. As it is well known, one of the critical steps in this process was the claim of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to recapture the Crimean Peninsula. Since the beginning of the war, Zelenski has been stating that Ukraine would retake the Crimean Peninsula, which has been under the Russian occupation since 2014. So in recent days, however, Russian experts have warned that the date of 7th of May is approaching. So will Ukraine really launch an attack on Crimea? And what are the latest developments in this region? Let us analyze the answers to these questions together and discuss the developments in details. But before moving on to our report, I would like to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Let's start if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. So, with the escalation of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the strategic importance of the Crimean Peninsula is increasing. The Ukrainian armed forces have identified Crimea as an important target and are increasing the pressure in the region. In recent days, especially with the announcements of the new support provided to Ukraine by United States of America, the preparations of the Ukrainian armed forces for an attack on Crimea have become clearly visible. So, the Ukrainian armed forces have recently been in a serious preparations. Modern weapon systems such as unmanned aerial vehicles and the missiles are frequently seen around the Crimean Peninsula. These weapons caused serious damage, especially by targeting the Russian military airbase in the town of Zelenski. However, this is seen as just the beginning. In recent days, ATACMS missiles fired by the Ukrainian armed forces were once again seen in the skies of Crimea. According to the reports, these missiles were again aimed to the town of Zelenski. So such attacks shows Ukraine's determination and preparations against the Russian presence in Crimea. So based on the latest regional reports, it is stated that the ATACMS missiles fired by the Ukrainian armed forces have reached various areas. Sources in the region suggested that the intense explosions were heard and that the explosions were clearly visible from the high grounds. So according to reports, the Ukrainian armed forces may have carried out a strategic operation. One of the factors confirmed the veracity of these allegations is that Ukrainians allegedly targeted points where the Russian air defense systems were deployed. So this can be considered as a strong evidence that the Ukrainian armed forces conducted a strategic operation. So in recent assertive moves of the Ukrainian armed forces towards the Crimean Peninsula have weakened Russia's propaganda. So in particular, Ukraine's alleged attacks with ATACMS missiles and the lies of the Russian sources that they were destroyed in the air had questions the credibility of the Russian administration. However, the images published by local sources made it clear that these claims were untrue. So the potential attack on the Crimean Peninsula is centered around the Kerch Bridge, which is in strategic importance for Russia. The bridge, which is of a vital importance for Russian occupation troops, is known as a critical point connecting Crimea to the Russian mainland. Recently, Russian military experts claimed that the Ukrainian armed forces would launch an attack on the Kerch Bridge. These allegations are perceived as a serious threat that could deal a heavy blow to the Russian army. These developments not only undermine Russia's control in the region, but also reduce the impact of the Russian propaganda and allow for the rapid spread of the facts. So the Russian army has recently suffered serious blows, especially from the attacks with the ATACMS missiles. The targeting of the Russian air defense systems on the Crimean Peninsula makes it Russian defense system weaknesses even more apparent. So this situation suggests that the recent operations of the Ukrainian armed forces are only a preparation, deterrence, or the weakening operations before a possible attack on the strategic points, such as the Kerch Bridge. Ukraine's armed forces are constantly carrying out effective operations against the Russian occupation forces and putting them in a difficult situation. And the Russian military still has a serious defense weaknesses which they don't seem to made a sufficient progress in addressing. Coordination between the armed forces of Ukraine and the Ukrainian military intelligence is quite successful, but which increases the effectiveness of the operations. So in addition, the weaknesses of the Russian intelligence are seriously affecting the Russian defense forces, which creates a situation in Ukraine's favor. Problems within the Russia's borders persist, and Vladimir Putin's decisions are fueling the reactions of the Russian people. Recently, Russia has been hit by the flood due to the failures of the administration, and the effects of this disaster are still ongoing. Local people affected by the flood disaster are taking to the stairs and to the streets and organizing violent protests. According to the reports, the people in the flood disaster areas are reported to the families of the soldiers serving near Avdiivka. At this point, we can talk about a serious game of fate. People affected by the flood made a statement from the steel-flooded areas and submitted their demands to the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. Among these demands, only simple Russian values are to be fulfilled, and it is unclear what these simple Russian values are, but presumably the demands is only about the relief of the victims of the flood. This seems to be a reflection of the growing dissatisfaction with the leadership in Russia and shows the increasingly clear and decisive expressions of popular demands against the Russian administration. Vladimir Putin seems to be very increasingly focused on the war lately. However, this focus is creating dissatisfaction among the Russian people, further fueling the anger. Putin's intense war-oriented approach, coupled with the failures of the Russian military, may also anger the leader himself. This may cause a serious tension in the domestic politics and social dynamics in Russia. The coming days seem to point to a great wave of uncertainty and mobilization in the region. So, what do you think? Can Ukraine's strategic objectives in the Crimean Peninsula succeed? What could be the Putin's next move towards Ukraine, and how might Ukraine's support from the international community affect Russia? How might Russia react if the Ukrainian army's plans to attack the Kerch Bridge is realized? Let me know in the comments, because you know that I read and I care a lot about all of your comments.